All eyes are on Baltimore right now, because this situation is anything but calm. Lamar Jackson is dealing with back pain, didn't practice, and suddenly everything feels up in the air. When the most important player on the team becomes a question mark this late in the season, it's not just about whether he'll play. It's about what happens to the Ravens if he doesn't. This is the kind of news that changes the entire mood around a team in a matter of minutes. And don't get it twisted. This goes way beyond a simple injury update. It affects the matchup against the Packers, the Ravens' playoff chances, and even decisions that could shape the team's future. Stick around, because every detail matters here, and what looks like a routine medical note could turn into the most intense turning point of the Ravens season. It all starts with a scene that would worry anyone. Lamar Jackson leaves the game against the Patriots with back pain, and a few days later the practice report drops with a heavy phrase next to his name: did not practice. In simple terms, he couldn't even get on the field. For a quarterback, especially this late in the year, that's not a small thing. That's the kind of update that makes everyone stop and seriously wonder if he'll be ready by Sunday. When a player at Lamar's level isn't practicing, the team automatically starts thinking about a backup plan, even if they don't want to say it out loud. The game against the Packers isn't just another week on the schedule. It's basically a must-win. Every missed rep matters, because it's not only about pain. It's about timing, confidence, and reading the defense, all of which take a hit. The Ravens are trying to stay calm on the outside, but internally, the concern is real. Back injuries aren't something you just shake off, especially for a quarterback who moves the way Lamar does. He needs his entire body to throw, run, spin, and escape pressure. Any limitation instantly becomes a risk once the game starts. And that's exactly why one question keeps getting louder behind the scenes. What if Lamar can't play? That possibility completely changes the Ravens' outlook for Week 17. And that's when another name starts coming up, because someone has to keep this team afloat if number 8 isn't available. If Lamar Jackson can't go, the Ravens already know where they'll turn Tyler Huntley. He's not a name that gets people excited right away, but he knows the system, the locker room, and the weight of the moment. He's appeared in 4 games this season, and even without flash, he's shown control, calm, and a style that doesn't blow things up when the ball is in his hands. The numbers help explain why the team trusts him as a temporary solution. Huntley has completed over 76% of his passes, hasn't thrown a single interception, and when he came in against the Patriots, he was nearly perfect. Short throws, quick decisions, no unnecessary hero ball. In moments like this, the Ravens don't need a savior. They need someone who won't make things worse. Of course, the gap between Huntley and Lamar is massive, especially when it comes to explosiveness on offense. The playbook gets tighter, defenses feel more comfortable, and the running game carries even more responsibility. Even so, Baltimore would rather deal with those limits than risk making Lamar's back injury even worse. And while the conversation focuses on who might start at quarterback, there's something even bigger looming over all of this. No matter who's under center, the Ravens know they're out of room for mistakes, and the playoff math makes that painfully clear. The Ravens situation is easy to explain, but incredibly hard to pull off. They need to win their final 2 games against the Packers and the Steelers, and they also need the Steelers to lose twice. That includes an unlikely loss to a Browns team with a losing record. In other words, taking care of business is enough. They need help. That kind of scenario weighs heavily on a team. Every snap feels huge. Every mistake feels amplified because there's no margin left. Baltimore knows one loss ends the conversation immediately. And when a team plays with that kind of pressure, you can feel it from the very first drive. Lamar Jackson's presence or absence changes everything here. With him healthy, there's still that feeling that something special could happen. Without him, the challenge gets twice as hard because the offense loses its spark and becomes fully dependent on near-perfect execution. It's not impossible, but it demands a very high level of precision. What makes it tougher is realizing this tight spot didn't come out of nowhere. It's the direct result of the season filled with interruptions, injuries, and games where the Ravens couldn't fully impose themselves. That leads straight to the heart of this story. A difficult year for Lamar Jackson.
All right, we're already past the halfway point of this video, but before we continue, I noticed you haven't left a like yet. It's really important, because it helps YouTube keep showing you my content so I can keep bringing you the best news about the Baltimore Ravens. So go ahead and hit that like button. It's free and it really helps. Thanks. Now let's get back to it.
For Lamar Jackson, 2025 has been anything but normal. He came into the year as a leader, the face of the team, and the Ravens' biggest hope. Instead, injuries limited him to just 12 games. Every time he returned, it felt like something new popped up, breaking his rhythm and consistency all over again. The stats make that clear. Lamar finished those starts with a 6-6 record, lower completion efficiency than in previous seasons, and overall production that didn't scare defenses the way it used to. There were flashes, sure, but what was missing was continuity, something a quarterback like Lamar absolutely needs. As a runner, he still showed moments of the explosive player everyone knows. But even that wasn't enough to hide the feeling that the Ravens never truly got the full version of Lamar this season. Every injury didn't just sideline him. It forced the entire team to reset again and again. And when a season reaches this point with so many unanswered questions, an unavoidable thought starts to take shape inside the organization. Maybe the priority now isn't pushing forward, but protecting the future, and that makes Week 18 especially tricky. If the Ravens reach Week 18 with no real playoff chances, the logic becomes clear. Risking Lamar Jackson just isn't worth it. Putting a franchise quarterback on the field while injured in a game that doesn't really matter is a gamble no team wants to take, especially after such a draining season. That decision wouldn't be about giving up. It would be about responsibility. Back injuries are serious, and forcing a return can create problems that last far beyond one game. The Ravens have to think long-term, especially when it comes to the most important player in the franchise. Because of that, there's a real chance we've already seen Lamar's last game of 2025, not as a planned ending, but as a result of a season where things simply never clicked. It's tough to accept, but it's part of life in the NFL when the body doesn't cooperate. Now, everything depends on the next few weeks and how this story plays out on the field. The Ravens are still alive, under pressure, and surrounded by difficult choices, while Lamar Jackson's immediate future remains uncertain, waiting for the next chapter of a season full of ups and downs. Lamar Jackson has once again become the center of everything, not just because of his talent, but because his health now determines the Ravens' direction. A back injury this late in the season isn't a footnote. It affects game plans, playoff hopes, and short and long-term decisions. Baltimore is stuck needing to win, hoping for unlikely outcomes, and deciding whether it's worth risking their most important player. And that's where the debate really heats up. Do you push Lamar back onto the field while he's hurt for one last playoff shot? Or do you protect the future and avoid a bigger risk? I really want to hear your take, so drop your opinion in the comments. If you were running the Ravens, would you play Lamar or shut him down and think ahead? The truth is, the next few days will define more than just this season. They'll shape the entire mood in Baltimore. Every decision now carries weight, consequences, and long-term impact. Stay locked in, because this story isn't over yet, and the next chapter could be the most intense one of all.
And if you, just like me, are passionate about the world of football and want to learn more about the Ravens' legacy, don't leave this video without sharing it with that friend who is also a Baltimore Ravens fan and will love this content. See those video suggestions on your screen? The first one was handpicked just for you, and the other is a recommendation from YouTube itself.